So welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is an impromptu Sunday morning stream, or Sunday morning in the UK. Actually, it's nearly lunchtime. So welcome to Bunny's Designs. It's a live stream recorded for Ustream.tv and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. And that means two things. It means the quality isn't as good. And it means it's a live stream, so there's a lot of waffle and there's hopefully a little bit of content in there that's useful to somebody. But live streams are all about people asking questions immediately and getting an answer, rather than waiting for somebody on YouTube to type a question and then 3 weeks later you get an answer. So Ustream is really good for that. Live streams are very good. If you want to know how somebody's doing something, you can ask them there and then. But of course, when you're watching it on YouTube, the quality isn't as good because there's something to do with, although it's an HD camera, the HD camera records in HD, but Ustream doesn't save it in HD. So even though it's transferred to YouTube, which is HD, you do not get the quality. So it's bitty, it's slow, and although I am disabled and slow, most of the time it isn't me, it's the actual quality. So apologies for that. Hopefully you can watch past that. And without further ado, I am going to colour my Hanna Karlzon's Seasons. And I'm actually doing this in page order. I've decided I'm going to turn the page, it doesn't matter what's on it, I'm going to colour it, and that's going to make me go through a book probably a bit better. And I'm also labelling them as well because I can't remember what I coloured them in. So there's a spare I'm going to put a piece of paper in here somewhere, and I'm going to bullet journal each page. I mean, it's only a tiny little pencil too, but it'll tell me what I did it in. So I think I did this. There's a video, Karen Neocolor 2s. This is liquid peerless. I think, I can't remember what that one is. So these two were liquid peerless because I made videos of these two. And this is going to be Neocolor 2s, but I am actually using them from my colour book, so I have so much control. I've got at least 10 colours, shades here. If you're using the crayon, you can't get as much control, so you either get it kind of very strong or up here somewhere, whereas if you scribble some on a paper palette, good quality sketchbook paper will do, you can then get these really soft, gorgeous colours. So for every colour I've got, and I think I've got 112, because I do have some Neo art bars which aren't in the Neo colours. These were the original ones they brought out 20 odd years ago maybe, and so I have that set, so these odd colours are in there, and I love the colours. So even though I think I have 112, I have 1,200 colours, because for every colour I have 10 shades, at least 10 shades here. So I've got some very, very strong colours here, very pale, very strong, very pale. The same with the blues, really strong colour blues, but soft pastel blues at this end. So if you crayon, and they have brought out a £10 palette, but these are only a couple of pounds, and actually I prefer this. This is a bit scratched because it's years and years old, and I have a newer one, and I don't like to scratch because you waste more colour. It's actually better on a flat surface and you're just scratching the colour that you need. When it's going in the grooves, which I think the Karen Dash actual one is, and it's £10, it does exactly the same thing. If you're going to push it into the grooves, you're going to have to wash that colour away. So as a tight Yorkshire lass, I don't do that. So you could get the crayon and you can mix colours on your palette, or you can just have one colour but 10 shades. So even though that's just one colour, watering it down is going to give me 10 shades. But the lovely thing about my book, and the reason I love working from it, is when I'm looking at colours, I don't look at these. And when you're looking at your Neos, you're looking at the crayon. Now, although these are wonderful pigments, and they're very well pigmented, the colour at the end is the colour you get. That's fine. But when I look at this colour, which is Raw Sienna, number 36, and I probably won't find it straight away. Brown's at the back, I think. That's Raw Umber. I do have my browns. I've put mine in colour order, so I've got some skin tones there. I've got my greys and my blacks. I've got my yellows and my oranges. I've got my reddy reds and my pinky reds. I've got pinks, purples, blues and teals. Unusual shades, not probably in nature. And then I've got my greens. And then into teals. Then I've got purpley blues and cold dark blues and browns. So number 36 I can't find. Number 36 is there. So this crayon is this, and I've done a quite big square, and all you have to do is you start to use quite a lot of it, which I haven't. You just scratch over the top, which is why I label it and I name it. And any little bits you can do that with. The same with the next one, which is this 65 russet. No, my light's gone, sorry. I have a loose connection. What's this one? This one is 55 cinnamon. And 55 cinnamon is here. So actually I've already coloured that in, that I've used a bit. You can see, and if you get bits, for goodness sake don't brush them off, just use the crayon and force them on. You can push the bits on because the bits are pure colour. But I don't look at the crayon. I obviously do, but actually when I take these with me, I take this with me. And this is my travel, but if I'm taking those with me anywhere. So I look at this and I think, well, if I use it very strong, I'm going to get this colour. But if I use it, say here, I'm going to get this gorgeous pale colour, which is a skin tone. That might not be a skin tone, but that might be. The same with this one. That's not a skin tone, but that could be. It's a shadow. It's a shadow under the eyes. This could be shadow under the eyebrows. So when you look at your colours, you just see one when you look at your crayon. But when you do it like this, you get 10 shades, at least 10 shades. And you miss out on all these wonderful pales. So sometimes, even if you've only got a set of 36, if you make squares like this, you've got 360 shades or tones. It depends on what you want to call them. Again, really rich blues, but look at that gorgeous soft pale blue. The same with the ultramarine. It's very strong, but it can also be a wonderful pale purple blue. Same with the greens, really strong or very, very soft. So it's a good way to work, and I like working from here. And if you work with a Derwent number 1 water brush, there aren't many pages you can't do if you keep it barely damp. So you don't want to squeeze tons of water, but once you've got the water through, just twist it onto a baby wipe, and that's going to make it just damp, and that's perfect for most colour books. So there is no reason that you need to gesso or hair dry or heat gun. You can do this anywhere, and you can do this in hospital, you can do it anywhere. All you need is your few colours, and my 1000 and these are big squares. They're in about an inch, half an inch. So even if you just made your Caran d'Ache in here, that would be fantastic. And there's 1, 2, 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I have 10 pages with 12 on. So that's 112. That's 120. No, sorry, 12. No, that's 120. So I've got 120 colours. I decided to stretch them out to 6. But I could have mixed 2 colours together. I could have mixed 2 colours together on another square and had thousands of combinations. So even though you've only got 36, you don't have to think you've only got 36 colours, because you haven't. You look at it, and again I have my squares. So I've got pure silver to pale, shiny gold to pale, and I have I did a page in Mythomorphia, and again it was so easy, just water brush and away you go. Very quickly I'll just show you this one, because that's Animorphia. Let me find Mythomorphia. You shouldn't have too many colour books, you see. And I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do with this? Now you see, if I'd have done this, which I intend to do, wait a minute, where are we? This one I did in hospital with my little book while my husband was having a stroke. And I just sat there and I needed to chill out, I needed to calm down, I needed to be very, very, I needed to be focused on him. And you just hang about the hospital once they got them on the ward, and so I just held his hand and I did this one-handed while I was sitting in the wheelchair holding his hand, and I used the tea rose, which has taken quite a batting now. So I used the tea rose and I just painted one bit and went somewhere else, came back, and when you come back the 3rd or 4th time it's a paler shade. So I did 1 or 2 of those, then I went back somewhere else, then I came back. So you can get a really nice effect. No paint was wasted. All I did was I just kept working until there was no paint. Went very pale. And then I got a drop more, and I wanted to know, right, this is going to be dark, so I'll do this bit. This is not going to be as dark, so I'll do that bit. And you get paler and paler, and you just work round the roses. Very, very easy way to work. Really easy and really simple, and you can do it one-handed, and the nurses aren't going to go mad because you've not got bottle tops, you've no water, you've just got a Derwent number 1 and your little colours. I mean, I could have done it in Neos. I don't think I'd actually had them in then, otherwise I would probably use the Neos, but I do like the peerless. But that's what gave me the idea, is the peerless squares. So I've got 72 Derwent watercolours, the pencils scratched in squares, but I haven't got 72 colours, I've got 720. The same with the Derwent ink tents, 72, but for each pencil I've got 10 shades. So although I've just got this little colour book, I could just use this for a good couple of years and without even filling it up, and I could go through all my colour books. At the front I've got some squares, which I'm trying to do for my giveaway, is cut the little squares up of colour. And so if you've got this and the plastic at this side, you can colour mix, and then you've got every colour on the planet then. All you need to do is make sure this is wiped clean and dry before you shut it. I've got some Derwent pencils, graphite pencils, Graphitint, and I have some Prismalo because they've got the water base. I've got the Caran d'Ache and the Derwent. I think that's the Derwent metallics. These were, I can never remember what they're called. I have to label them. I don't think I labelled them, did I? Yeah, they're Caran d'Ache metallics and Neocolor 2s. I can see the tin, but I can't see. I can't remember what they're called, but they work like a watercolor crayon, and they're very, very well pigmented. Faber-Castell watercolor crayons, or watercolor sticks, I think. Then I've got the Caran d'Ache Neocolor 2s and the Gansai Tambi watercolors, and they've actually copied my idea and made them more portable. So thank you, Caran d'Ache Kiyotaki Gansai Tambi watercolors, for copying my idea. And then I have my Hydrus, and they look pretty grim, but they're not, and it's because they never completely dry. They're always a bit tacky, but there is, believe me, tons and tons of colour in there, and I put little tabs on because you need to peel them apart. So just the same as I did with the others, just a drop, and as you see, they're always a bit tacky, but there's tons of colour there, and I'll probably work out of there next time. So always try, if you can, to get your colour sticks, as long as it's water based, either a pencil or a crayon, and they need to be good quality. You can't really do them if you get them from the pound shop, because the pigment isn't there. But if you can use anything else, it's fine. So I thought I would play with my Neocolor 2s, because there's some quite nice, as I call them, fake colours, and I particularly like, so the 170 Azurite Blue. Now that might not be, I think this one is from the Neocolor bars, not the Neocolor 2s, so I think that's the nearest. So while I'm doing, and again I've got either a very strong colour and a dark colour. So what I did say with the roses, you put a little bit of colour, and I've got this brush damp by using a baby wipe. You don't want it saturated for two reasons. One is you've no control over your colour. It's just going to be dead pan flat colour. And the other is, this is a page, this is paper. It's not a watercolour paper. It's very good quality, but if you use this method, you can use it for anything. And what you can do is start in one place and then go to another, go back to another, and then about the fourth one, if you go back, it's completely different. And that's how I did the facets on this one. Start one way, start dark, do all the darks. By the time you've come back, you've got a mid-tone. By the time you come back, you've got a light tone. And you don't waste any paint. And it's very quick. And you've not got to spill any water, so you can do it in the hospital or anywhere else you happen to be. So I'll zoom in a bit, and then you can see... Oopsie, I didn't mean to do that. I've got my touch working on the screen again, and I'm not used to using it. So I'll zoom in, and I'll try to have the colour I'm using so you can see. I mean, it's a clean brush. There's a tiny bit on the end there, and you always know what you've got if you just, there's the tiniest bit. But the water brushes are designed to go white, clear again. So I've got my baby wipe. I don't need any water. If it gets a bit dry, you can squeeze it, but it doesn't. If you use the tip, you're just going to get a small amount of water. If you push it down and move it, you're going to have a lot more, and you don't want that. So the best thing to do is to just use the tip. And then, I mean, this is a little bit big for this, but because my hands are really bad, I can't hold a small brush. So this is wonderful if you've got pulley hands, because it just sits in your hand. And if you put the lid on the back, it's even better. So there was a tiny little bit there that I wasted. So again, there is weaker. So when I've got this little spot going here, if I want to be here somewhere, I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm going to go in this bit that's already been used, because this is going to be paler. If I want some strong colour, I need to go here, the next section that's complete. And that's a lot stronger, so I can just make these a bit stronger. And you can see what you do, you can see how strong things are. You can see if they get